Hi everyone, I'm Trev from Coiltek, and today I'm going to be chatting with a great detectorist from the Northern Hemisphere, opposite to our Southern Hemisphere. Her name is Laurie from Canada. Hi Laurie, how are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for joining me today. Essentially, we love chatting to people around the world about the NOX coils that are out there now. We're getting some really good reports about their performance, and people are really enjoying their abilities on the machines. So how have you been going with the coils, and tell us a little bit about where you detect?
Oh, wow. I've been using the coils now for around, I'm thinking about 5-6 months. And I have brought them to all sorts of different locations, from the woods and farm fields, beaches, different, also a lot of different areas. Actually, every single detecting site we have, I've been actually hauling all 3 coils with me just in case. And the biggest question always is, which one am I going to use?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. With the multitude of coils, you've only got one detector that you can swing on one arm. So, you do have to make the right choice. So, and, that does sort of, lead into a good question in regards to, the choices that you can make. And if you're in an area that, you need a little bit of extra sensitivity and maneuverability, what sort of coil would you go for from the new NOX range?
Oh, I have been loving the 10x5. In regards for sensitivity, maneuverability, a lot of my locations are really rocky, really brushy. You see these beautiful forests, these grove forests. Well, a lot of ours aren't like that because the amount of logging that took place. So we have a lot of underbrush, these junipers that just cover the ground, and they're pretty high. So the 10x5 has actually gotten me into a lot of places I haven't been able to get before with the larger coils. And I just think they're fantastic, especially for rocky shores. That's been one of my favorite places to use the 10x5. It's a lot easier to get down closer to the ground and around these rocks and all that sort of stuff. And like I said, in the forests, have been incredible experience with the 10x5.
Wow.
We have a Victorian picnic grove that we have found so much over the years, and it just kind of dried up after a while. And I did bring my 10x5 coil, and I managed to get up right in between little saplings of trees. Like, they're just a lot of little saplings of trees. So I managed to get right in between. I was able to find, an old Victorian silver coin there, and up against a tree as well. You can bring that thing right up, and it can get right up onto the side of the trees.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun with the 10x5 when it comes to maneuverability. It is absolutely my favorite.
How have you found the balance on the machine as well? Obviously, was your primary coil before this the 11-inch, what's the transition been like between the 2 coils?
It's almost like I have nothing on my coil anymore, like nothing on my detector. It is so light.
It is.
I feel like I'm just waving a stick around. I haven't noticed any problems when it comes to balance or everything. It feels great. Like I said, it's almost like waving a wand around. It's been fantastic. I absolutely love the weight of it. I don't see any problems with balance whatsoever.
Oh, that's great. And so you said the rocky sort of beach. Do you guys do a lot of beach detecting as well? And how have you found the 10x5 on the beach? As far as depth goes, because obviously as we go a little bit smaller with a coil, we can lose some depth. But it's actually quite surprising how deep you can get with this 10x5.
A lot of they're not really beaches per se. We can say that they're, along river edges and
Yes.
where old mills, because I am kind of more of a relic hunter as well.
Yes.
So with these, actually, I don't need a lot of depth because I'm running it pretty much right on bedrock. There's a lot of bedrock and stuff, so depth doesn't matter. But in the Victorian picnic grove in the woods, I did notice a great depth. I was able, I think I was getting at least 6 inches or so on one of those small little fish, we call them fish scales. They're little 5-cent silver pieces.
Oh, yes.
Was probably around the 6-inch range, I'm thinking. And it came in really nice and clear. So I have a lot of areas that have multiple layers of trash from today's all away. And some of our older, deeper things can be around the 10-inch mark. I was able to hear on some of the really deep items, I could tell that something deep was there with the 10x5. So often I would call Eric, and Eric, can you come over and take a look? I think there's, I could think I'm hearing something, so you're actually getting really deep. The signal doesn't come out as clean or as clear as it would with a larger coil in that situation, but it's been fantastic. I really enjoyed that 10x5, but this is why I have the other ones as well. And when I start hearing that I'm missing, or I can hear some deeper items, that's when it's time to switch over to the larger coil. So
it's sort of not one coil will do everything on the ground, is it? You really do need to try your different coils in different scenarios, different directions. Swing speeds can make a difference. What about the target IDs and the way the coil responds with the machine? Have you found them to be pretty similar as far as target IDs? There really shouldn't be much difference, but what's your findings on how the coil's responding with the machine?
I have found that the target IDs have been really accurate. I haven't seen anything that would be like, everything seems to be coming in around the same range that I was used to. So there was no big transition with the 10x5 from what I was able to see. The biggest thing I noticed with the 10x5 is how easy it is to overlap my swings. With such a small coil, I was actually really impressed with the overlapping of the swings. But not only that, was the target separation. A lot of my sites were talking about cellar holes that are filled with iron, a lot of really trashy areas. And it's been incredible. I could just hear, I could hear way more targets, I think, because it just sounds like a machine gun when I go over those areas. So it's been a fantastic tool for separating and finding those little masked items, and so easy to isolate targets with such that wonderful 10x5.
Yeah, and that's mainly due to that elliptical shape. You're not getting too many targets underneath that coil at the one time, so you're sort of narrowing down that ability to target separate. So that's a really good point with that small elliptical. Really helps in those trashy areas, because yes, that's certainly one that people are going to encounter more often than not, because usually when you want to find old coins and old treasure, you're going to areas where people have been there for 50, 100 years, have been going to the same spot. So like you're saying, you're going to get different layers of deposits, but also trash as well.
Absolutely.
So with the 10x5, have you found you've had to adjust settings at all on the machine? How's that gone with the difference between like your 11-inch to the 10x5?
Well, you see, when I'm using my 10x5, I use it mostly for target separation, really for my high trash areas. So I do increase my recovery speed at about 7 is where I pretty much like it with the 10x5. So I do raise my recovery speed, the sensitivity. I mean, I can boost that sensitivity up really high with this coil, which is fantastic. So I'm able to use it around 23 in a lot of places, 23, 24, which has been a fantastic experience to be able to use high sensitivity in these locations and a fast recovery. That's what I like to use with the 10x5.
Yeah, I guess you're trying to push the coil as hard as you can without it being too erratic and noisy.
And that's so important. Too many people run their sensitivity way too high. And this is when you start getting all falsing from the nails and all sorts of stuff. And it makes it really, really difficult. A lot of people think that the sensitivity is going to give them way more depth, whereas I can still hear targets. It's just really amplifying the signal. So I don't know. For me, I find that I like to run it where if it's a little chatty, I'll reduce it 1 to 2 notches below that. And then it's really nice and stable. And then I can hear so much more. I can actually hear a lot more targets and things come in really nice and really clear. I really feel that too many people are running up really high and they're getting all very frustrated. And all I say, it's very simple. Reduce it a notch or 2.
And it can contribute to sort of, like you're saying, bump sensitivity, noise on the ground when you're swinging, you're touching plants or rocks. It can make sounds, and then they think maybe the coil's not right or the detector's not right. But really, if you back it to, even if you go as low as 17, 18 in some areas, and just slowly notch it up 1 or 2 until you start to get a little bit of chatter and a bit extra noise, and then back it down 1, because not every ground is going to have your same sensitivity setting. You're better off playing around with some of these settings when you do head to a new area. And then that way you're going to optimize that coil for that condition. And we've had a few questions in regards to, should I be resetting my machine? Should I be factory resetting my machine when I change coils? What's your opinion on that?
I haven't, and I haven't noticed anything wrong. I've been using the Equinox for 4 years, so I'm assuming that if I did need to reset it, I would have noticed that.
Yes.
But I haven't had to do a manufacturer reset every time I change the coils. They seem to function properly. I don't see any machines working like it should. So I don't see a need for it.
We concur with that. You know, we do get that asked quite a bit, but essentially the coils are designed just to plug and play. You don't want to remove all your settings. Sometimes you've got, you know, special settings that you've got in there. You don't want to reset them. So it's best just to plug and play and use a similar pattern that you've had before with, say, an 11-inch. And then you may just, like Laurie said, just tweak the sensitivity a little bit here and there, and your recovery speed, and then away you go, really.
If it's not super really trashy, I will reduce. I mean, I love running my recovery speed at 5 on average, is where I really enjoy it, is at 5. 7 in really high trash. I'll go down as far as 3. I find a little less stable below 3, in my opinion. When I've tried it, things just don't seem right below 3 for me. So usually between 3 and 7 is my kind of zone, and I'm playing with that. I'm playing with the recovery speed and the sensitivity throughout my whole entire hunts. I'm continuously playing with those two on the machine as I detect. So
that's good to know. I mean, it's really just, you know, massaging the machine for the conditions, isn't it? You know, I mean, you could walk 20 meters or so and change ground conditions, and you might need to adjust that sensitivity slightly, or you're getting closer to some form of external interference. So, and
also that's something else I'd love to mention. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in right in.
Go for it.
Another thing that I experienced with the 10x5 coil that really blew my mind was, we have this one area around here, and it's a beach of black sand. I mean, you can see the black on top, you can just see all this black sand. And all of my previous detectors, I've never been able to hunt this location. I couldn't hunt it. It would overload on other detectors that I owned. And with the Equinox, I was able to go there. But I did have to reduce my sensitivity while I was in those conditions. I would have to use beach mode. Beach mode, I'm not crazy about, because I'm a field and park, you know, I always use those settings. Beach mode, I don't have any salt conditions around here and stuff like this. So the tones sound very different in beach mode. They sound a lot higher. The target ID numbers are not that similar. So I'm very used to those two. And what I noticed is when I used my 10x5 on this black beach, I was able to, again, run my sensitivity nice and high. It wasn't reacting to the black sand. And that just blew my mind, because I just struggled so much at this site, and none of our detectors could go there, and I did. But I found a lot of bottle caps and a few clad coins, but nothing, you know, not all the gold I was thinking that was going to be there. But
yeah. Well, you know, if you can't get to an area, you're experiencing the same thing everyone else is. So if other people have gone there with other detectors, and they would struggle there too. So you could, you know, be pretty excited when you get to those areas and can actually run a coil. So that sounds really exciting for sure.
Yeah, so I was actually blown away, and I was just so happy that I was able to actually scan the ground to see what was in that little section, you know, because like I said, it's been years we've been curious, years we've tried, and we've had so much trouble with it. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is easy. I thought it was fantastic. I had no trouble at all with it. So in mineralized conditions and in black sand, I just absolutely love the 10x5.
Yeah, it's a good combination with the Equinox. The Equinox is such a good machine from Minelab. They've done a really good job and opened up so much more opportunity for prospectors and detectorists out there. But coupled with that little 10x5, it's certainly a weapon.
Definitely. Definitely. I absolutely love it. I feel like I have an advantage of everybody that's been to that site, especially the high trash ones. I'm like, I could squeak stuff through. I'm like, I'm going to catch those things. So yeah.
See someone with
I
the
tend to
11-inch coil and you walk behind them with the 10x5 knowing you're going to get a little bit different signals and maybe a bit more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's been a great tool to have. And I feel like I have an advantage sometimes when I'm using it. Definitely have an advantage.
Thank you. Thank you. That makes us feel really good that people have an advantage out there with our coils. So we do appreciate that for sure. How have you found the coils strength with the wings? You know, there's been a lot of talk in the past about wing designs and that breaking and having trouble. What have you found with the 10x5? How's the wing design and the strength of the coil?
I think they're fantastic. I noticed it has a little bit of flexibility a little bit, I think, on it. I haven't had any problems. I haven't broken a coil yet. I have to knock on wood. I haven't had any troubles with any of the coils, and I'm rough. You know, I'm a woman, but I'm rough. I mean, my detector gets thrown into the back with other detectors on top of it. I mean, I have fallen on the rocks. My detector, I'll put it up on my shovel and it slips off. And I've done so many things, and I'm shocked I haven't broken anything yet. And but I think the coil ears, they fit very nicely. They're really nice to get in, and I think they're great. I think they're great. I haven't heard any complaints of anybody else I know in regards to the wings and stuff on them. And I don't know. I trust. I just have this trust with them.
Yeah, it's good. Coiltek, a wing design you can trust. We like that. That's very good.
I feel like I can trust it. I'm not worried. You know, I'm not somebody who uses the coil stiffeners and stuff like this. I'm just not worried of it breaking.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you know, our products come with a 2-year warranty. So if there ever is any issues or anything like that, we always honor them. So we're right on top of our warranties and making sure everyone's really happy with them. And yet, touch wood, so far we've had, you know, really, really good results in regards to the 10x5 and the way it runs and the strength of it and the robustness. We hardly get a commentary back on that coil. It's actually been our most popular, that's for sure. We've sold over 1,500 of those now in about 4 months, 5 months. So for us, we're pretty happy with that, that's for sure. We sometimes have to pinch ourselves. We only released this in March, and you know, here we are nearly in September 2021, and it you know, we've sold so many and had so many good reports from different regions, which is fantastic. So would you say that this 10x5 would be your go-to coil, or you know, at the moment?
No. I know it might be a little surprising because of how much I absolutely love this coil. But I think my go-to right now would be the 14x9 is actually one that was my go-to coil for a lot of my sites, actually.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's a really good segue into this 14x9.
So I really couldn't tell you which one's my favorite, the 10x5 or the 14x9. They both have their place, and they're both way up there on the top, I think, for me.
Yeah, that's right. And like we said before, it's about knowing the right coil to use in the right conditions, but you probably will default to one if you're going into a new area or something like that, you know, and that you want to search with. So yeah, that makes good sense.
So my default has, I mean, for the longest time, I had my 14x9 on, and it basically went everywhere with me. And for a while, I did quite a lot more hunts with the 14x9. I feel bad for the 15, a little bit bad for the 15. I was able to use it a few times. Its chance will come more often, hopefully.
Well, thanks, Laurie. That's some great information and great discussion there. We know that you're doing a great job with the coils, and that was really good information about that 10x5 NOX coil. So what we'll do is we'll get into another video soon for the 14x9. We'll have a bit of a chat about that one. But in the meantime, everyone, thank you, Laurie, for being on today's short show. And yeah, hopefully you have some great time detecting.
Thank you so much, Trevor. It's been a pleasure.